What's the page number? I'm trying to find it.
It's page 42 if you have the soft copy.
Yeah.
And third paragraph on that page. O Hadi, be thou of one face in the path of God. Hypocrisy is the opposite of sincerity, by the way, and it's always been condemned by God from time immemorial, right? Having two faces means hypocrite. Well, one way, one place, and the other way, the other place. Like people are not sincere. Like, sorry, something is running. Who's that? Salman, is that you? It's the voice is break.
It's my roommate's voice.
Okay. O Hadi, be thou of one face in the path of God, right? The previous paragraph said, turn to the trustworthy counselor. Trustworthiness is truthfulness and sincerity. When you're trustworthy, you're sincere. When you're sincere, you're trustworthy, right? So this is a major problem in our societies. Globally, you would all witness this, right? People are not sincere. They are good on, not all people, of course. When we say people, we don't mean everybody. If everybody was that way, the world would have ended. There is a lot of goodness in it still, but there is a lot more darkness right now in every culture. People are good on the face, but they turn around and they'll say something bad about you. That's hypocrisy, right? So that's why I always say, don't offer what you cannot give, right? Nobody forces you to say, hey, come live in my house for 2 weeks, right? You don't have to offer that. If you're not capable of handling it for whatever reason, right? For whatever reason, your financial resources might be tight, your house might be too small, your family may be in a way that you cannot really have long-term guests, whatever the reason is. Your own household is your palace, your fortress, right? Baha'u'llah said marriage, which makes a home, is the fortress of well-being. That's your fortress. You choose what you want to let in or what you don't want to let in. Of course, you try to consistently decide what to let in or what not to let in according to the word, right? But for example, hospitality is asked of us, but it's not an incumbent duty. You only offer as much hospitality as much you can, right? So there is no restriction to say you must feed 10 people every week or every month or every year. Give out whatever you can, right? So that when you're told give out or do what you can, that eliminates the need of that hypocrisy that you're one way on the face of people and another way behind them. And curb this thing inside yourself, by the way. It develops the strength of the character the more you work on yourself for that. So if you can only offer a rupee and not 100, then give a rupee, but give that rupee with the absolute radiance of heart and sincerity of soul. God has not required you that if you don't have 100, that you should give 100, right? So same thing the Bab says about prayers. You don't have to have elongated prayers. He doesn't want you to sit there for hours. He wants you to sit there in sincerity and in love of God. And if that you can only muster for 1 minute, then that 1 minute is better in his estimation than an hour that you did to just begrudgingly, right? If you spend an hour in prayer and then you say, oh, I'm so tired now, I really have to do it. Even if you don't say that, but you feel that inside, that's not what God wants, right? And that's not what we want, by the way, right? When you make a friend, you want them to be sincere to you, right? You don't want them to be somebody else or think of you some other way. So be a sincere, honest friend. I say I prefer honest enemies than deceitful friends, right? So when you're a friend, if you have some problem with me, come tell me on my face. Do that to each other. A friend's job is to keep ourselves good. You desire the goodness of your friend, and they desire the goodness of you. So whatever that is, it should be face to face, right? So Arman, brush your hair. I tell you that. Don't go somewhere else and say, Arman showed up today, he didn't brush his hair, but I didn't say anything to, no, I'm just kidding, right? But I didn't say anything to him. That's hypocrisy. That's not friendship, right? That's double face. That's stabbing in the back. That's not friendship. So we can't force other people to be sincere. But my advice always is to be the friend you want in somebody else, right? We can change. We have complete hold on our own self. If I am worthy to be a friend, there will be worthy friends in your life. Right? As I say, build and they will come. Build yourself and they'll come. Don't run after people. Ever. Don't ever run after people. Make something worthy out of yourself. I don't mean financially, I mean character. Build a worthy character in yourself and people will come to you. And those who discarded you because of your skin color or because of your lack of money or because of your lack of status or rank, when you build that character, all of those show up on your door, by the way, because it's a desirable quality, right? So go on. Solomon, O Hadi, be thou of one face in the path of God. So be in one way wherever you are. And there is a side, just a second, there is another side to it that we often don't train ourselves, by the way. If we want ourselves and others to be who they are, right? We are all different people, by the way, right? Then you have to allow me to be who I am, the way I speak, the way I act. That's me, right? If you're a really sincere friend, you could slowly guide me without too much criticism. Guardian says too much criticism hinders, does not actually. We know all of that. We all know that. So with loving ways, you can maybe mold something that is too much of a rough edge, but you must allow that rough edge to be in interaction. Because if we are bickering about that all the time too, then people become double faces. Because then they don't trust that they will be accepted when they talk to you. So we don't develop that side in ourselves. And we often neglect that. So give people a benefit of a doubt, look at them, okay, watch them a little while to say, no, this is how they are, right? Somebody speaks slow, somebody speaks loud, somebody speaks this way, somebody speaks that way, right? So people are not made of wax. They cannot overchange overnight just because you like them in a certain way, right? So when Abdul-Baha says unconditional love, then that's what it means, right? You want to give them a chance to be in your life and in your friendship, even though they are different personality, right? Abdul-Baha says, do not turn yourself away because of the differences of opinions. That often hinders us from friendships too. Oh, you say this, I say this, then therefore I'm not going to talk to you, right? Or political divides. People's political opinions divide themselves. Families are divided over these issues, right? These should be the thing that we are able to discuss and hear each other. And if something is wrong, discuss it, put it on the table, but don't go bickering about each other after that. That cannot build friendships and families, right? So we must develop that side into it. We all know that we should be sincere and we should be good to each other and all that and everything. We all know that there is diversity in human beings. But often when we meet with that diverse character, which is not quite the way we are, we kind of shut it off, or we are not sincere behind their back, right? So we must learn that side of it to say, this is who this person is. And when you deal with each other long enough, you know that, right? You know that. Mom talks this way, dad talks that way. They're totally different personalities. Right? This sister is that way, that sister is that way, right? Unless somebody takes a knife to your heart and then you can shut your door. Besides that, if it's just at the opinions based, let's learn to discuss that and not close our doors, right? And be of one face, but then accept that one face of person. All right. So Baha'u'llah is not accepting what this guy is doing. That's his actions, right? Hypocrisy. None of us is asked to accept that. So pray for them. We don't hate them. Pray for them and walk away. right? So go on, Salman, read the paragraph.
O thou who hast fixed the gaze upon all glorious horizon, the call is
Sorry, O Hadi, be thou of one face in the path of God. When in company, that paragraph on. It was somebody who pretended to be a believer, but then he handed up all the believers to the government when he was not there and spoke against the faith all the time. Sorry, Solomon?
I'm unable to find the paragraph.
Oh, do you have a soft copy, or which kind of book do you have in hand, hon? Is it printed?
No, it's a PDF.
PDF.
Page 14. In page 14. The paragraph is on page 14.
We should number these actually at some point.
A little before Tajaliyat, page 14.
It is the sixth taraz, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th paragraph. Anybody has a paragraph which we know? You read that, and Salman can read the next one. Well, he will find it then.
Okay.
Who's next?
Ryan.
Ryan?
Ryan is with Neil.
O Hadi, be thou of one face in the path of God. When in company with the infidels, thou art an infidel, and with the pious, thou art pious. Reflect thou upon such souls as offered up their lives and their substance in that land, that haply thou mayest be admonished and roused from
Yeah.
slumber.
First
Roused.
pronunciation was good. Roused means wake up. Yeah.
Consider who is to be preferred, he who preserveth his body, his life, and his possessions, or the one who surrendereth his all in the path of God. Judge thou fairly, and be not of the unjust. Take fast hold of justice, and adhere unto equity, that perchance thou mayest not, for selfish motives, use religion as a snare,
For
nor
selfish
disregard.
motives. Make note of it, that you not use religion for selfish motives.
Nor disregard the truth for the sake of gold. Indeed, thine iniquity and the iniquity of such people as thyself have waxed so grievous that the pen of glory was moved to make such observations. Fear thou God. He who heralded this revelation has declared, he shall proclaim under all conditions, verily, verily, I am God. No God is there but me, the help in peril, the self-subsisting.
Right. So there is a lot to unpack for our own personal lives in here. Few things because they're happening in the world today. So when we read the writings, we are told that offering up our life and substance and everything is the highest meritorious thing in the path of God when called upon to do so. So that said, how is then what those people out there who are blowing themselves up to blow others up, what's the difference? Why do we condemn them? How do we judge when God is calling and when he's not calling, and what is he be calling? Just because I'm willing to blow up myself, is that comes under that
They're not
criteria?
they are not following the holy scriptures. They're being misled by
Yes,
the
they are
leaders
giving
of
their all, but they're
gospel.
giving their all to harm somebody else. God has never asked us to harm somebody else, right? So those 20,000 martyrs that we call martyrs, they weren't going out killing other people and then got killed. They were killed for their faith themselves, being well-wishers and peaceful people of this world. Absolutely opposite stuff, right? So let's say but that is our faith, what we are enjoined upon. If you look at the Quran, and then they will be judged according to that, because that's what they believe, right? So if they were doing the right thing according to the Quranic things, it would have never come to this end, by the way, because God's own purpose never comes to this end. So, simple thing. In the faith of God, always, from time immemorial to this day to ever, maybe he will decide whatever next, but we only are responsible up to this revelation. Killing of innocent people is always forbidden. Touching of children and women has always been forbidden. Touching of civilians, innocent, those who are not carrying weapons and standing in war with you, besides those, everything is forbidden. The holy people to be touched are forbidden. The holy places to be touched are forbidden in the Quran, by the way, all right? So let's say if India and Pakistan, God forbid, have a war, the Pakistanis who are Muslims, it's forbidden to them to demolish a mandir or to kill a Brahmin who is a priest in that mandir, right? It's forbidden to them. So if they then do that, oh, these are kafir, I'm doing that, they're totally then denying what God had asked them to do. So then you're not in that host, you're still not in the line of martyrdom if you're totally breaking the rules of God. Make sense? So for a Baha'i too, if a Baha'i will then take up the gun and go start killing somebody and they got killed in the end, then yeah, no, not really, right? So all of those, when you're studying Dawnbreakers and all of those battles that have been put in there, those people were running away from them saying Mullah Hussein and his party was asking the government to let them go. There is no compulsion in religion. We want to practice this. You don't want that, let us go. They were willing to leave Iran, go somewhere else. We will take our faith, go somewhere else. They wouldn't let them go. So they were defending themselves. They weren't attacking the government. Make sense? So if they were willy-nilly attacking the government, the Bab himself would have disowned them, right? So always, sometimes these things get confusing because that's where because their leadership is telling them, oh, somebody's crossing the road, dies under a rickshaw, and they call it a martyr. I was like, what the hell? How is that a martyr, right? So everybody's not a martyr. And if you start pretending that way, then that's what people do, because now they all want to be martyrs and they don't care that they're actually opening the doors of hell for themselves, because they're totally breaking the rules of God in their own book, out of their own book. We are not asking them to follow my rules. We are asking them to follow their own rules. That's it. And they're not doing it. So judgment should be there. But if you don't know those scriptures, that you don't know where the judgment is either. We are supposed to know that all of that stuff, so we can actually do, our judgment should be always right about ourselves and about others, right? So make proper discernments about these things. And in Baha'u'llah's time, we don't have any of that anyway. It's better to be killed than to kill, he says, right? Yet we will have defenses. We will have defense in Baha'i countries. What was Abdul Baha's take on that? We did some answer questions on this issue. It's better to be killed than killed. What did he explain? He said what? If they want to kill me because I'm a Baha'i, then I'll let them. I won't even fight back. But if they, because he was sitting with another person giving this interview, and he said, but if they barge in here and want to harm you, then I will defend it. Right? So there is distinction to when do we let go of it? And that's what the Muslims did too in all the early days, by the way. The first battle was after 14 years of persecutions, right? For 14 years, they were tortured and some were killed, and no objection was raised to it other than the verbal objection to say, don't do this, this is unjust, right? They did not stand up and fight. When they left the area, they migrated. Same what Mullah Hussain wanted. Leave, let us go. Let us go. They left. They all left. And these people will not leave them alone. They followed them and still want to kill their children and their women and their stuff because they were of another faith. That's when God said, okay, you can defend yourself. Right? So, so what they're doing today is not according to the book. Go on. What else here? So that's the giving up the life and substance. For us, life and substance is given up which way? We have injunction to give life and substance, but in what way? Not by the weapons and dying that way, but sacrificing and serving humanity at our own expense, right? Abdul Baha says religion is to serve humanity. To serve humanity is religion. And what is our service? We say this all the time. Anyone? Carmel, are you answering? Our services? Is our service to the world is cleaning the roads and building bridges for them?
Teaching.
Teaching, yes, teaching. And teaching is what? Teaching is to show people where the answers are for a new civilization, how to live together. That's basic. That's what we are lacking out there. That's what is causing all the hatred, all the prejudice, all the war. So you see how meritorious and great that service is. If we can change people's mind and hearts to say, let's love each other, let's live in this diversity, let's have peace together. And what that peace means, everybody says they want peace. Then why everybody's fighting? Because just wanting to have peace does not bring peace unless you have answers how to resolve the problems, right? Justice is mandatory for peace. Justice needs to happen first before peace can be given. Justice requires that problems are resolved equitably, right? In just ways. And that's what the scripture has given us this time, how to resolve those problems. How to be a country, how to be your borders, how to be citizens, how to be all of those things, how to be family, how to be with some other religion, some other language, some other culture. If all of us could, if we can bring those answers to the world, then the root cause of problem goes away. Isn't that more meritorious than just cleaning the road out there and giving somebody one day's food or building a bridge? The bridge would be blown up again someday. But if hearts are changed, that's what will bring hundreds and thousands of years of civilization, right? So it's the heftiest work to do if you can look at the merit of why we are asked to do just that. And why just that? Because what did Guardian say? Everybody else can do everything and they are doing it. But this work, we are the only ones who can, because we are the only ones who know. If you're the only doctor in the town, right? What would you do? You wouldn't have time to sit on a football match if you're only doctor in the time, right? Because all your time is taken to take care of people because there is no one else to do it. So yes, there are lots of fun things in this world. There are lots of productive things in this world. He didn't say that those are not good things to do. But you are the only doctor in the town. What are we supposed to do? Right? So that's why our priority is, our service is teaching to the world. All right. Baha'u'llah said that he has gone so far that God himself had to pen this down to warn this. Can you imagine this guy would be remembered this way for thousands of years? Is that how we want to be remembered? Do not use the religion for personal selfish motives, right? So be very, very watchful and vigilant of that. it's human nature. It's like, oh, like when I was serving in the secretariat in Haifa, somebody had wrote and asked the house to tell their child that such and such thing was forbidden in the book because their child was apparently doing those things. And I was really curious to see what the house will say. And I was so proud, of course. And the house wrote back and said, no, there is no such thing in the writings. I mean, you, as a parent, you have the right to guide your children to how you want to build your family. But you can't pen that onto Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah's given what Baha'u'llah's given, and that's all he's given. Nobody else can make up more stuff because you want some other sort of pressure onto your child. Now, what the child was doing was not a very great thing, by the way. It wasn't that they were right and that's why it was said. It's just that whatever wrong they were doing does not, there is no direct, there is no direct law in the writings about that. You cannot make those things up. It's human nature that we do. Right? So be very mindful of that. It's a very dangerous place to get yourself into. Right? Somebody else told me, somebody that all of us would respect very, very much, and I don't want to name them, but they were like, they did that to their kid. They were like always like, oh, the you know, God will not like this or God will not like that, just so they could be straightened. Well, the result was the child didn't want to have any religion at all when they grew up, because it was done wrongly and it was overdone. Right? So fear of God is taught to children, but fear of God as a loving father who would be disappointed in you if you did wrong. You don't put your own little needles into your children to say, you know, and turn God into a tyrant in their minds. If you did that, then guess what? Right? Be very, very careful. Do not use religion for your selfish motives, ever. Ever. Be very, very vigilant about that. All right. Next, O people of the Bayan.
O people of the Bayan, ye have been forbidden to contract the loved ones of God. Why hath this ban been imposed, and for what purpose? Be ye faith, I adjure you by God, and be not of the heedless, unto such as are endued with insight and before the most great beauty. The object of this ban is known and evident. It is so that no one may become aware of his are these secrets and deeds.
Got that? So this is something that most societies do, and there was no sanction in the books for that. Like children are told not to be friends with other children who are of other faith in many cultures. No faith had allowed that. It almost comes under that criteria, right? So whenever we are studying the writings, which we keep on saying that in some sense, it seems like he's talking about a specific issue, but that specific issue exists in all of our cultures and our lives. And that's what he's warning us about, right? What is the purpose of telling us the story of Hadi, what he's doing? By the time I'm reading it, Hadi's long dead, right? Whatever he did is long gone. Who he harmed is long gone. Whom he benefited is long gone. Doesn't affect me at all. What is the purpose of those stories? The Quran says the purpose of those stories is so you would learn what to do and what not to do. These are lessons for believers, right? So whenever we are reading these things, then we should look around to say, how does this pertain to what we are doing, right? I remember growing up, my best friend was Christian, and my grandmother was like, how do you sit down and eat with her? And I'm like, what? Right? And you see that in many of the cultures. My grandma was totally ignorant village woman. So to some degree, it was, what you call it, forgivable. She didn't know any better. But I've seen highly educated people doing such things too, right? So what we tell our children we're not to make friends is with bad character. Don't hang out with bad characters. Don't develop in your own children bad character. Don't hang out with bad characters. Other than that, it shouldn't be a criteria to what class somebody is and what color somebody is and what creed somebody is, right? All right. So don't make up stuff that God has not given, and he's giving the motive for why you're doing it. Next.
Mira.
Mira.
O Hari, thou hast not been in our company.
Thou has not been in our company. Thou art therefore ignorant of our cause.
cause. Act not according to thine ideal imaginings. Aside from these things, scrutinize the writings with thine own eyes, and ponder upon that which had come to pass. Have pity on thyself and upon the servants of God, and be not the cause of waywardness like unto the people aforetime. The path is unmistakable, and the proof is evident. Change injustice into justice, and inequity into equity. We cherish the hope that the breaths of divine inspiration may strengthen thee, and that thine inner ear may be enabled to hear the blessed words. Say, it is God, then. Leave them to entertain themselves with their cavillings. Thou hast been there, and hast seen him. Now speak forth with fairness. Do not misinterpret the matter, neither to thyself nor to the people. Thou art both ignorant and uninformed. Give ear unto the voice of this wronged one, and hasten towards the ocean of divine knowledge, that perchance thou mayest be adorned with the ornament of comprehension, and mayest renounce all else but God. Hearken unto the voice of this benevolent counselor, calling loud, unveiled and manifest, before the faces of kings and their subjects, and summon the people of the world, one and all, unto him who is the Lord of eternity. This is the word from whose horizon the daystar of unfailing grace shineth resplendent.
All right. So many lessons again, of course. Thou hast not been in our company. Thou art therefore ignorant of the cause, right? That pertains to everything we do in our life. Every person you want to comment on, everything you want to gossip about comes under that problem, right? So even when we know the truth, we are told how to hold our tongues and what kind of speech is given to us to be good about, right? Don't spread, even if there is a negative story about something and it's truth, don't spread it around. You're not allowed that. If you want to do anything about it, the only thing you can do about it is twofold. One is, if this person is somewhat friendly to you and you want to warn them about something and you think you can, and maybe that will be beneficial, then up to what extent, put it on the table for them, right? Be sincere and put it on the table for them and say, this is how it is. Maybe they could learn something. If they take it, good. If they don't, then what? Your job is done. Your job is done, right? If it is somebody who's doing something that is necessarily in your judgment, first of all, correct your judgments, right? But of course, we can always make some bad decisions on times. So let's say if it's somebody in your own community who's doing something that you think is publicly harming the faith or the community. Again, twofold issue. If it's a friend, try to warn them. If you can't and you don't have any other relationship, but you're really sure that this is the issue, go to the assembly. Report it, and then what? Your job is done. Your job is not to deliver that to a next person. Leave alone the wherever, right? So now in that kind of, plus, if it is something that you are not the eyewitness, you didn't really see that this is happening. Somebody else is gossiping and telling you have nothing to do with it. Kill the gossip there. Kill it at your heart at least. Don't deliver it farther. Warn the person who gave you the gossip to not, this is not a good idea. Change the subject, right? So I assure you, if you develop that personality, you meet lesser of the people who gossip needlessly. This does not mean that we cannot discuss our own problems with each other to find some solutions. That's allowed in the writings, right? The guardian says, if you have problems with whatever problem is that pertains to your life, yes, other people are involved with it, or problem come from other people, right? You have some family problem, marital problem, friendship problem, whatever problem, you want to find some better solution for it, you are allowed to discuss with those whose opinion you trust. Why are we allowed that? The bottom line is because you're trying to find a solution to a problem. You're not just basically gossiping, right? There should be no purpose in just gossiping. It doesn't touch me personally. It doesn't has anything else, and I can't do anything about it. Then that's not something that we should just keep on churning around, right? But at the same time, as much as there is such strong warnings against gossip, which is backbiting, we are allowed to discuss our own problems with your assemblies or with your friends or with your family, those whose judgment you trust, the guardian says. So the moment you pick people for that purpose, then you know that your intention is to resolve an issue. Sometimes even we cannot resolve it with another person, but I want to resolve it for myself, maybe. Just in my head, how do I deal with it, right? You're allowed to discuss that. We are not asked to be a closed containers and blow up at some day. Proper channels are allowed to us so we can do proper things in our lives and yet keep society safe, right? So these days, remember that rectitude of conduct, do not hear things that are wrong, do not see things that are wrong, do not speak things that are wrong. All of that comes under chastity of soul, right? So now imagine what is happening on our societies. And people feel like they have right to it. There is a politician or a film actor or a whatever, and they want to publish what they were doing in their bedroom. Why? Why are we interested in what are they doing in their bedroom? If it's an actor, I can discuss all the acting skills they have or they don't have. That's perfectly fine. Why I'm getting into their personal life? Do you see the problem? And our societies are permeated with these things. There is an administrator or a politician or whatever. You are fully allowed to discuss their policy. You like it, you don't like it, what you don't like, how it should be corrected. Perfectly fine discussion. Why do you care what they were wearing or how their face looks like or what their wife was doing or what their family problem was? Why? Make sense? So, and societies are permeated with this, like we're bickering about people day in and day out and bickering about them that we don't have any license to do. And we have declared that under, oh, because they're public figure, we are allowed. No. Their bedroom is not public for you. Their kitchen and bathroom is not public for you. Their family and relationships are not public to you. Their work is public to you. Discuss that. Same thing for anything else. If you can make that as a clue, it's really easy to then handle that, right? So discuss the issues, not people. Even in your own communities, when there is something wrong, somebody's done something wrong, discuss the issue, not the person. You don't need to bring their name and personality in if you want to correct the issue, right? Very simple matter. So in the outside world too, clean up your heads, clean up your eyes, clean up your stuff. It really kind of muddies our own lives to get into all of that muck that societies are doing. Don't get into that. I mean, we can't fully avoid it because you walk somewhere and somebody's TVs is loud, you walk somewhere, somebody's radios is loud, you go to the market here, the magazines are all in front of your eyes. But to whatever extent you can keep yourself clean, don't get engaged. in that. If somebody wants to discuss policy, then discuss it in the light of the writings, right? That's what we are learning. Where are the answers? Where are the problems? What is considered a problem? Where is the answer? We just want to do that, right? So firsthand, if it's coming to you via gossip, then if it really, whatever reason you decided that this is important to you, then investigate the issue first yourself. Is it true? How much of it is true? Is it fully true? Is part of it is gossip? Is this person really did that? If it's important to you, then do that stuff first. If you find out, then yes, this is it, then you have a couple of ways of dealing with it. If you don't have time and you're not willing to investigate to if the problem is actually a problem or not, then shut up. Don't get engaged. You have no knowledge. You don't really have proper knowledge. If all humanity or majority of humanity followed that route, can you imagine how clean our media or lives or newspapers or streets would be? Right? And you notice that when something really wrong has said, which is unjust, even if it's true, and something's wrong has said behind your back, it actually burns your heart almost forever. Right? It's almost impossible for you to sincerely become friend with a person who is doing that about you. Then why these other people should be any different? All of them are human beings. Just because they become a movie star doesn't mean they're not a human being. Just because they're a politician doesn't mean they're not a human being. Doesn't mean they're not somebody's father, mother, sister, and all of that. That it doesn't hurt their hearts for what we are doing, right? And therefore, more and more secrecy in the world, more and more this and that. All the wrong then stems from that. And very, very rare true friendships because people don't trust each other, right? So be very, very careful for that. So you have not been in our company and you don't know our cause, then you have no right to do what you're doing. And if you want to do something, then look into it yourself. All right. So I go so far to say when we sit around and bicker about our governments, let's say, to say, why are they doing this, that, or the other? And we get really sort of agitated about that. I often present that, do you have any solution to what they're doing? Do you really think, I mean, regardless of if that solution is good or bad, do you actually have a solution against what they're doing or what you're complaining? If you don't have any solution, then why you should have any right to complain? Maybe they don't know either, right? If you don't know what should be done with it, they don't know what should be done with it. So then our job should be to go out and help each other to find some solutions rather than just bicker every day, right? It just doesn't work. Look into things for yourself. Find out for yourself what it is. And don't be a hypocrite. Don't be two-faced. Thou art both ignorant and uninformed. Right? So I don't have the knowledge, and then I'm running after gossip too. And he's talking about because this guy has gone to meet Mirza Yahya, of course. Whoever met Mirza Yahya became the enemy of the faith and enemy of Baha'u'llah and all that, right? Without looking at the other side. And there's that lesson for us too. We often, human beings, do that. Your friend is enemy to somebody, you want to be an enemy to somebody. Your family member is enemy to somebody, you want to be an enemy to somebody. That's wrong, right? Stay away from such things. Stay away from such things. And the bottom line is, if you want to act upon it in whichever way, then you must know where reality is. Okay? What if your own family member is the one who's wrong? Can you imagine then what double trouble you have created for yourself? Right? You've been unjust twice. So be very, very mindful for how we develop our character, to how we live in society and with ourselves. All right, next.
Which one?
O Hadi, the wronged one, rid of all attachment to the world, hath striven with utmost endeavour to quench the fire of animosity and hatred, which burneth fiercely in the hearts of the peoples of the earth. It behoveth every just and fair-minded person to render thanks unto God, exalted be his glory, and to arise to promote this preeminent cause, that fire may turn into light, and hatred may give way to fellowship and love. I swear by the righteousness of God, this is the sole purpose of the stronged one. Indeed, in proclaiming this momentous cause, and in demonstrating its truth, we have endured manifold sufferings, hardships, and tribulations. Thou thyself wast bear witness unto that which we have mentioned, couldst thou but speak with fairness. Verily God speaketh the truth, and leadeth the way. He is the powerful, the mighty, the gracious.
I just finish it up. It's on.
May our glory rest upon the people of Baha, whom neither the tyranny of the oppressor nor the ascendancy of the aggressor have been able to withhold from God, the Lord of the worlds.
So the blessing on people of Baha who are which way? Who are true to the writings. Nothing hinders them. And that you can decide for yourself only. I don't know where your heart and soul is. Only God knows and you know. So whenever Baha'u'llah puts a condition upon us, judge it. Do I fulfill that? Do I make him proud? Right? Do I make him proud? That should be the only goal in life, by the way. Do I make him proud of my actions? If you can just make that as a goal, that's such a shield against our own selves, right? Every action, every thought you have about your life, about anything, any action, anything you do, would that make him proud of you? But how would I know that if I don't know the writings? What he says makes him proud, right? Because those ones who are blowing themselves think that they're making God proud, and yet they're breaking every law God has given them, right? So all of that comes down to first and foremost study of the writings. There is no way other than that. There is no way out of it. We cannot really base anything in this life without that step first. Animosity and hatred, he says, that's what he's come to curb. And everything in this universe right now we are doing engenders animosity and hatred for each other. The world is really dark on these things. Yes, we have made great material progress. We live in better homes, we have better roads, we have better food, we have better all of that on the material side. On the spiritual side, we are the darkest of times. Darkest of times, right? And in my personal judgment, one of the reasons is because we are not shedding out enough light. The light was given to us to shed it out, to lighten the road pathway, and we are failing. All right. Any other comments, concerns, points on this before we move on? Peoples? And this is the book of laws, by the way. All right? Remember that. Tablets are part of Akdas. These are the laws of this dispensation. Not just simple advice. Okay, the next is Tajalliyat. Who's next?
Tajalliyat, effulgences. This is the epistle of God, the help in peril, the self-subsisting. He is the one who heareth from his realm of glory. God testifieth that there is none other God but him, and that he who had appeared in the hidden mystery, he is the hidden mystery, the treasured symbol, the most great book for all peoples, and the heaven of bounty for the whole world. He is the most mighty sign amongst men, and the dayspring of the most august attributes in the realm of creation. Through him hath appeared that which had been hidden from time immemorial, and been veiled from the eyes of men. He is the one whose manifestation was announced by the heavenly scriptures in former times and more recently. Whoso acknowledgeth belief in him and his signs and testimonies hath in truth acknowledged that which the tongue of grandeur uttered ere the creation of earth and heaven, and the revelation of the kingdom of names. Through him the ocean of knowledge had surged amidst mankind, and the river of divine wisdom had gushed out at the behest of God, the Lord of days.
We're talking about Baha'u'llah, right? This revelation, this manifestation. Without him, we do not have the answers. So we recently have lots of these things in the community where saying, oh, it's okay if they don't come to it. No, it's not okay if they don't come to it. If they don't come to it, we'll never have the answers. We'll never have what we're trying to build in this world. It's necessary to come to the message of God, to the answers of God. We cannot do it without it. If you have been given a proper blueprint to build a bridge over the ocean, and you say, oh, well, we can let it go and we can just do whatever, you think you can build it? If every other blueprint is so necessary to be accurate, and only then you will build a safe bridge, why on this case it's like, oh, whatever? Why in here is whatever? Why here only whatever works and nowhere else whatever works? If you don't cut your material properly, you cannot make a proper shirt. One sleeve will go in and the other won't. You must measure everything accordingly to the body and build it, whatever it is. You built a non-size shoe, you won't be able to walk in it. Smallest things are necessary to build according to what they need to be built upon. And when it comes to the building the civilization for humanity that God has given the blueprint for, we take it so lightly to say, oh, whatever. If we don't build it properly, it will be built crooked. And crooked things cause pain on a daily basis. Right? If you have a wrong shoe, it will give you blisters every day. The spiritual civilization is the same way. Go on, next. Well, is it with this man?
Well is it with the man of discernment who hath recognized and perceived the truth, and the one possessed of a hearing ear who hath hearkened unto his sweet voice, and the hand that hath received his book with such resolve as is born of God, the Lord of this world and of the next, and the earnest wayfarer who hath hastened unto his glorious horizon, and the one endued with strength whom neither the overpowering might of the rulers nor the tumult raised by the leaders of religion had been able to shake. And woe betide him who hath rejected the grace of God and his bounty, and had denied his tender mercy and authority. Such a man is indeed reckoned with those who have throughout eternity repudiated the testimony of God and his proof.
Okay, so a tough question on this one. Which religious leaders will be hindering me and you? You think you're hindered by the mullahs? You don't know the mullahs. You're hindered by Christian priests? You don't know the Christian priests. You don't sit in the church. But we often feel like as if this is not talked about us, it's about them. But he's telling me, so be careful, right? Be careful, God is given warning to us. Me and you still should be one who knows the scripture and follows that, regardless of whoever the world, whatever somebody says. And if somebody says something that I should be doing, then I must measure it with the book of God. If it's accordingly, then I follow them. Then I'm with them. If it's not accordingly, then my job is not to fight them. That's not God gave me that. God asked me to do my own thing. My own thing should be right with the scripture. That's all I am responsible for, right? Now, if that same me is serving on to an institution, then my job is twofold. Always remember that too. And if you're serving on an institution, you still are an individual believer. So as an individual believer, my jobs and duties and responsibilities are one way. And serving on an institution, my jobs and duties are in another way as well, added on to my personal stuff, right? My personal stuff never leaves me. I am a personal person, responsible to God 24/7, all the times, no matter what else I'm serving. And if I'm serving onto some institutions, then it's accordingly where I'm serving and what my jobs entails there is added to my person. But my personal duties still always stay, always are, right? Make sense? You are a person, you are a brother, you are a husband, you're a son, and you're a doctor. Just because you're a doctor, the duty of you as a son, as a husband, as a brother do not go away. But you're not doctor to them 24/7. You're doctor to them when it's needed. Make sense? Same thing. You have a institutional responsibility. That institutional responsibility is when you are in that capacity working. You're not an LSA member to your own family all the time. LSA is responsible for the community, not the members. Make sense? So as a member, you're just another individual person. Same level as anybody else in the community. Just because you're a chairperson or a secretary of the LSA does not give you any more rank anywhere among individual Baha'is. You just have an added job within the LSA for running the administration of that LSA. That's it. Even within the LSA, among the 9 members, the secretary is not any higher than the common member who is not an officer. The officers are necessary to run the administration and business of that assembly. In connection to each other, they're one and the same person, one and the same rank. No one is above the other. Each vote is exactly each vote. Just because you're a chairperson, your vote does not mean 3 votes or 2 votes. Just because you're a secretary and your name comes onto every letter does not mean you're more special. Make sense? So don't, if you are that, don't get it to your head. And if somebody else is getting into their head, don't allow them that. Right? Each LSA member is just the LSA member, just the common believer. The LSA as 9 members together is an institution that has authority over legalities of your lives. Right? Legalities of your life. So let's read this again because this happens a lot to us. Iman, the last portion of the second half of the paragraph. Could you read that again, please? His glorious. Let's read the whole paragraph and yeah.
Okay. Well is it with the man of discernment who hath recognized and perceived the truth, and the one possessed of a hearing ear, who hath hearkened unto his sweet voice, and the hand that hath received his book with such resolve as is born of God, the Lord of this world and of the next, and the earnest wayfarer who had hastened unto his glorious horizon, and the one endued with strength whom neither the overpowering might of
Neither
the
the
ruler,
overpowering might of the rulers, nor the tumult raised by the leaders of religion hath been able to shake. And woe betide him who hath rejected the grace of God and his bounty. Right? And hath denied his tender mercy and authority. Such a man is indeed reckoned with those who have throughout eternity throughout eternity repudiated the testimony of God and its proof. And a number of years ago, this is what you must would have heard the story of Mr. Nahachawani making a rounds around countries and asking people, why did you let go of firesides because your counselors told you not to? He asked people, where did you see that a counselor has more authority than Abdul Baha, who made it mandatory for you to have firesides? Remember, there was a time when firesides were killed in the communities at the hands of our religious leaders, at the hands of our own religious leaders, all right? But we often feel like, oh, they can't go wrong, they can't go wrong, we are chosen. Why is he warning it here? What is he warning you about? That's why I asked, is he warning you against the mullahs? But you don't sit down with the mullahs. Mullahs, you don't take any authority from them. You don't sit in the churches. The priests are not beguiling your life. Who is? If you're immune from such wrongs, why is Baha'u'llah warning in such strong terms? Why those things have happened to us, actually? Right? He learned of those things, and those of you who are young ones, I'm sure you all know him, right? He's from the original House of Justice, Mr. Ali Nachwani. Somebody said that if he had those things that we declare saints, he would be one of them. When he learned this was happening at a very old age, at a very frail health, he traveled to several countries, awakening Baha'i communities. The house had to get involved to learn what the hell was going on out here. Several of the counselors were let go of because they were doing their own bidding. Whatever their reasoning was, that's between them and God. But what they were doing was wrong. No one has the authority to curb what the writings are asking me to do or go opposite of that. All right. So no matter how big somebody's name is, if somebody tells you shouldn't be studying the Igan, you should complain about them to the house and stand up and leave their company right there and then. Defend the faith of God. Baha'u'llah himself it's mandatory to study the Igan. Baha'u'llah himself has made it mandatory to study all the writings, especially Igan. Abdul Baha has, Guardian has. Who dares tells me not to do it? Who else dares tells me not to do it? And they do. So do we then take heed? Do we stand up and defend ourselves and our faith? If we did, actually, none of them will dare do such things. We blindly, quietly follow whatever somebody tells me to. That's why they were able to succeed in that. Firesides were killed globally, all over Baha'i communities. They still haven't come back, in spite of the house writing about it and everything. Once you kill something, it takes forever. It's not an easy thing to build a wheel. And you kill it, it takes forever to bring it back. Sunday Baha'i schools were let go of on the desire of the ABMs and the counselors, in desires of children's classes. The house never asked for the Sunday school Baha'i schools to be killed. They were very successful everywhere. So we had gone through these issues. And we will go through these issues. We are not any different human beings than every other human beings were in this world. And if we don't heed the warnings of our own writings, then we wouldn't be any different from anyone else either. During dark ages, the church itself was burning people for studying the Bible. Common people were not allowed to turn to the Bible and read them for itself. Somebody tells me now that I shouldn't read the Igan. How is that different from the dark ages of Christianity? Tell me. Tell me how that is any different from the dark ages of Christianity. We point our finger to that, not to ourselves. When my writings clearly tell me that no one has that authority after the Guardian, They can't even say, oh, I interpret it differently. They have no authority to interpret it. The clear-cut injunctions that are in the writings, no one, not even the house, can change that. Not allowed. By Baha'u'llah himself. Not by my words. By Baha'u'llah himself. What's clear-cut in the writings, no one can change that. No one. By his own will and testament. So how do we allow these people to then do the opposite to what my guidance is in the writings? Anyone, whatever their ignorance is, I don't care where they come from and why they're coming from that way. That's their problem, right? My problem is to know, what is it? The hand that has what? Baha'u'llah's calling? The hand that hath received his book, Baha'u'llah's book, God's book, with such resolve as is born of God, the Lord of this world and the next, and the earnest wayfarer who hath hastened unto his glorious horizon, and the one endued with strength who neither the overpowering might of the rulers nor the tumult raised by the leaders of religion hath been able to shake. Next. Got this? This is very, very potent problem. Very, very important problem for our lives. When you stand in front of him at the end of, once you're gone here, he's not going to ask you who beguiled you. He's not going to ask you, oh, you can't answer that. You can't say, oh, I didn't do the right thing because my ABM told me otherwise. You think God is going to listen to you for that? Or while my counselor said this to you, what is he going to say to you? Didn't I give you 100 volumes? Weren't you literate? I provided you with the facilities of life materially where you were literate. And I gave you 100 volumes, and didn't I give you this direct injunction that you only are here to follow the word of God? Then what excuse do you have? You have no excuse. Great is the blessedness. Who's next?
Great is the blessedness of him who hath in this day called away things current amongst men, and hath clung unto that which is ordained by God, the God of names and the fashioner of all created things. He who is come from the heaven of eternity to the power of the most great thing, invested with so invincible an authority that all the powers of the earth are unable to withstand it. And to this beareth witness another book, calling from the most sublime station.
Right? Such warning after warning after warning of paragraphs. Do we think Baha'u'llah just kind of was, it's a nice things to say, wasting his time? If these are not the issues of humanity, why the Lord of Lords is warning us book after book after book? Clung unto which is ordained by God. Right? So I urge all of you to start a fireside once in 19 days. Abdul Baha joined it on us. What is a fireside? Do we know? You have seen different, well, young ones would have not seen anything because they were killed quite almost 10, 15 years ago. But the older ones, you would have seen some. Lots of those examples are not quite right. They're okay. There's a place which is really intriguing where Guardian talks about a this or that style of teaching or that style of teaching. And he doesn't say don't do that. He says both are okay, both have their place. We need to see it that way too. Make sense? Just don't kill what is actually said in the writings to do. If people are doing some other stuff, that's okay. If this and this and this other means are there that can draw people in and all that, all of that is fine. Problem is only one place. What is that? That you kill what is actually writings are saying in favor of something else. That's then is evil. Make sense? If you're doing everything Baha'u'llah is asking you, and you have 10 other things that are showed up in you because things will progress, society will progress, and you're doing it, that's perfectly good. So he says, that's good, that's proclamation, this is teaching, this way is good too, that way is good too. This covers this area and this covers this area. Right? What is fireside? In simple terms, as Abdul Baha wanted it. What Abdul Baha enjoined in once in 19 days in each household. What is that?
Believers coming together and discussing the writings.
Not believers. Believers already discuss the writings
Okay.
on daily basis, right?
I
Fireside
mean,
is for teaching. So what do we do?
Hosting, bringing friends over, being hospitable. It may be very simple manner, but being friends to them.
Yes.
And having a conversation. Not, I've seen firesides where they say, okay, come and listen to the learned. And the Baha'is feel we know everything and we're going to tell you. And that's kind of really.
That's a social party too. That's fine. It brings some friendships and people get cohesive when they're meeting on all that. That's fine too. Problem is only when you kill the actual thing. Make sense? Don't go against them either. If they're doing a big social gathering, that's fine. People make friends, you meet each other. The more you meet each other, the better it is. Perfect. Don't say that that is replacing this or kill this thing. Abdul Baha, and because we see those big things, you feel overwhelmed, feel like you can't do it, right? So somebody actually can either bring speakers, or they themselves can speak really well, and they have 50 people in their home and they do blah, blah, blah. And it's such, most people will feel like I can't do it. Sometimes you will wonder, did Abdul Baha want that? No, Abdul Baha didn't ask for that. He didn't say don't do it. Make sense? Two different issues. Because those things didn't even happen in his time, so he wouldn't say don't do it. But that's a social gathering. And doing a Baha'i work, perfect, great. You have time, go to it. Support them, help them. What is it that Abdul Baha is asking each household to do? That is, you choose a friend, right? Finding seekers, Baha'u'llah says, don't waste your seeds onto barren land. That's the first step. The very first step actually is to socialize, to be social, to make friends. How would you find seekers if you're not making friends outside of Baha'i community? The Baha'is are already Baha'is. Fireside is not for Baha'is. Fireside is for teaching people what Baha'u'llah brought. Outside who don't know. So you make friends. Out of those, there are those who are seeking. You will learn when you discuss with them, when you live life with them, when you become sincerely their friend. These are Abdul Baha's injunctions. Sincerely become their friends. Then you know where they're at. Out of those that you find this person, and we make mistakes too, by the way. You might think that this is okay and that guy's not interested or girl's not in it. That's fine. We live and learn. So you find, you choose. Guardian says who? You choose, not me. I'm an LSA member and I'm ABM, I'm a counselor. I don't choose for you who you bring your home to teach. You choose. It's individual's duty. We all study the Advent. Individual's duty. You choose who you want to work on. You think, oh, this soul is willing to listen to God's answers. You invite them to your home. Show them your hospitality. Cook a meal. Do lunch or dinner or whatever you can do. If you can only do dal chawal, that's perfectly fine too. It's not what kind of cuisine you can put on the table. It's which manner you can invite them to eat with you. Serve them with their own hands. Abdul Baha used to serve his guests with his own hands. These are important issues. Why the master is stressing on these issues so much if they're not important? Serve them with your own hands. Sit down and talk. Talk. Some manner of writings should be mentioned. Direct or indirect is your choice again, right? Direct is what? Direct is, well, I'm a Baha'i and Baha'i faith says this and this about this issue, if whatever topic is at the table that you're discussing. That's direct. What is indirect? You don't want to go there yet because you chose that this person needs to take time to learn about Baha'u'llah as a person. He needs to learn the lesson first. So you say, well, okay, so you're talking about they're interested in politics. You say, well, you see what the problem is? We have this party system which makes you already divided against each other. So maybe we need to work on that. How do we work on our elections where the party system doesn't work the way it's partisan, dividing? What kind of solution we can become? You started a discussion on the lines of where writings want the answers. You didn't mention the faith, you didn't mention Baha'u'llah, you didn't mention any of that. These are as if these were your opinions. Yes, of course, your opinions should be in line with the faith. That's your indirect teaching. Isn't it simple? Which one of us is incapable of doing that? None. Right? Any conversation you have with anybody, my conversation should be from the angle of the faith's answers, because I should be embodiment of those, right? That's the first requirement of the faith. I need to be transformed. I need to have those answers as part of me. I am the faith. That I need to develop first. Then you are doing these other things, right? Is that hard for anybody to do? Wherever you sit, you'll bring in your faith's point of view, right? Because that's your point of view. Whatever the topic is. Right? So long time ago, I think, Carmel, you brought in the girls' issue that we were talking about homosexuality and stuff. So, okay, you're in school, you're talking, somebody brings that on the table. And you say, well, God has certain injunctions. He's concerned about the actions. He does not label people. We don't label people into permanently, this person is evil because they had done something that God doesn't approve. We all do things that God doesn't approve. So we love these people, but there's certain action God forbids us, we won't go there. You think that's more benign issue than saying, hell or heaven? We all can discuss things. If we are that embodiment that we understand where God wants us, then we can discuss things. And courage is necessary, right? Because even saying that will push back, because society wants to be saying that, no, God should accept this thing, but we don't accept that thing. Why the faith calls for courage? If whatever you say can be accepted out there and you have no pushback and people don't walk away from you, then why courage? So yeah, no matter how bestly you put it on the table, there will be pushback. But when the pushback happens, you actually get back and say, how do you want to deal with those conversations even better? Whole lifetime learning comes from that, right? Because lots of times people walk away, not necessarily just because they were wrong. Sometimes they are. Sometimes it's just I didn't present it right. So if you're doing every 19 days this kind of practice, can you imagine how perfect slowly you become in your conversations with the outside world? Your own benefit out of all of that. That's simply just fireside, by the way. That's it. That is it. One time in 3 weeks, you think you cannot make dal chawal? For one other person or 2 or 3 who, by the way, it's better on one-on-one than it's gathering 3 different people. That's my personal experience. Because if those 3 people are of 3 different opinions, every conversation that one person is against will turn against because the other 2, this one wouldn't let the other 2 listen. It's much better to have one-on-one sort of these kind of firesides and conversations than a big group of whatever. Unless that group is somewhat coherent, like you're inviting a family, then you're inviting a family. You can't say only your wife needs to come or husband needs to come, right? But if there are 3 different friends and all that, then make sure that they're somewhat coherent before you can, or you know how to then manage the conversation. One or the other thing. Do you think any one of us has no talent to just do this much? It's too hard. We all have friends.
The fireside has taken the shape of devotional. The problem is not with that. The problem is with imposing it and telling, now you've done devotional, please do Ruhi book 1. They want numbers,
we are not trying to make numbers here. We want that if that is synced into their head, this is a new faith and things. Okay, I've done 2 times devotional. You know whom you're calling in,
A
and you know,
fireside is not devotional. Don't. That's what I mean. You can do
yeah,
devotionals, do weekly devotionals. Whoever can do
exactly.
it.
That's what it has been turned into. Like, when we did live, they turned that into have the devotionals. Like when we had a children class, the purpose of what is the use of moral class is to help children build up morality, to build up character and virtue. Like when during the time of COVID, like we used to have this Zoom meeting, and we used to have children from different communities like Mysore and Bangalore and Mangalore. Basically, Carmen was taking the class. And then the board member says, uh, actually, you should take the class only from your region. The parents were struggling that someone take the classes to the children. You take the class from your region, like Mangalore should take from Mangalore, not to Mysore people or not to someone from Bangalore. What happened in the end was the class collapsed because at the end I asked the question, what is the purpose of moral class? Is to build that our children build up the moral character. You want this thing from your from Mangalore, we have 2 moral classes. From Mysore, we have 2 more. You're seeing the number game. You're not seeing to build up a thing. What happened is it's completely gone. And now what happened with us? We are passive. The more you become active, the more they put it on you, and they say, make this Ruhi book 1, have Ruhi book 2. But your crowd is not ready.
Yes, and I've seen all of this. So when that happened, what should have been our actual action? Say thank you to the ABM for his opinion. And this way is actually more suitable for our kids, because developing your kids and their education is parents' jobs by Baha'u'llah, not ABM's job. All right? Parents' job. Baha'u'llah has given that to parents. If parents are not capable of having the money to educate them, only then the institutions bring in the money to do it. Your children are your responsibility by God, not for anybody else's. If they want to help on the lines of what all the parents are feeling good, then that's good. But if they want to take away from that, then ask them where in the writings it would be more beneficial to say, I only can have my street kids on it. Where? Where in the writings is that enjoined on you? Then the parents should have had the courage to say, no, we are going to continue with this because it's beneficial for my kids, right?
The children also was a board member's children only, and then they have a problem. Why is your kids doing like this? Why my kids are not doing like this? They have that question.
What did I often say? If somebody comes in a limousine and tells you to sit in a village and don't earn good money and go serve the faith, you should not listen to them. What did Baha'u'llah say? Who do we listen to? My scholars are the stars of my sky, but everybody who claims to be a scholar is the star of his sky? Is it? What is the criteria? What does Baha'u'llah say? Which scholar? Which leadership? Which scholar do I listen to or emulate?
One who listens, who follows the writings.
The one who follows the writings. The one who follows the word of God is righteous in his action according to the word of God. Okay. On that, I want to ask you a question. I think I'm pretty deep in the faith. We have done long years classes. You think you should emulate me? No. Why not?
Because still it's the writing. We just listen to you and then we see if that is.
There is another side to it too. I'm not saying anything I want you to do. We are just studying the writings. But you see that I am deepened in the writings. To some degree, I'm a scholar. Why wouldn't you emulate me? There's a reason that you should not emulate me. What's that reason?
Baha'u'llah says individual investigation of truth, and you read from your own thing.
Because you don't live with me, you don't see my character daily basis. You see me good with this, maybe. I don't think I've ever slipped on telling you something else other than Baha'u'llah saying. You see that. But we don't live together. You don't see if I'm actually doing it in my life or not. Yeah, I think I'm doing it, but you don't see that. Baha'u'llah has given you a double criteria. A double criteria. One is that they know the writings and they follow them. Character, practical actions, character. Their character matches the word of God. Now, you might have some glimpses of it for me, but you don't really know. We live on 2 different continents. So that injunction alone should caution you to say, okay, we are studying this, that's good. But she said she's doing these other things that are maybe good, but it's not here. But you shouldn't run after that because you don't see my life. Make sense? So then somebody comes in a limousine. Tell me now why. Somebody comes in a limousine, lives in a $2 million house, and tells you it doesn't matter. God asks you for poverty. Go live in a village and serve the faith. Why shouldn't you listen to them?
Because he himself might not be following it.
Why? He's not poor himself. All right. Somebody who himself is a doctor, very proudly calls himself a PhD doctor. His children are PhD doctors, and they poster them everywhere with pride. And they come and tell you, don't worry about it. You don't need to send your kid to college or this or that. Why are you running after these things? These are worldly things. Go serve the faith. You should listen to such a person. And if you are, then whose fault is it? It's good for you, but it's not good for me. Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is two faces. Hypocrisy is the most condemned stuff by God. Why should I want to emulate a hypocrite? So let's say another scenario. Somebody already had a limousine. Somebody already lives in a $4 million house, and now they become a Baha'i. And now they come and tell you that other stuff. What would you do now? Still won't do it. Because you should give your own self in charity if that's what you believe the faith is teaching. It's simple. If I believe the faith is teaching I shouldn't be wearing pearl earrings, then I shouldn't be wearing pearl earrings for myself. I'm wearing them and I ask them don't to buy them, don't run after them. Really? Why don't you take off yours and give it to somebody? Simple as that. Make sense? The criteria is very simple, sweethearts. Baha'u'llah's injunctions are very simple. If you know them and have the courage, nobody will change my life. They will bring lots of side heartache. Yeah, I've shed enough tears over things, but they won't change my course. Because at the end of thing, Baha'u'llah's not going to listen to this. My children didn't learn much moral thing because moral class was, because the Baha'i class was done because of the ABM. He's going to say what? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? In the book of laws, in tablets. No one takes them away from the word of God. No king, no ruler, no religious leader. Who is an ABM? A religious leader. Why a religious leader took you away from where Baha'u'llah says the true believer is never taken away anywhere from the word. Right? So in my judgment, if the ABM was sincere, this is what they should have done. To say, okay, maybe there was a need for a local class. To say, wonderful, you guys are doing this, keep on growing this. Could you find some time to maybe do a second one? Develop a local one? If that local one became successful, then you say, oh, integrate these two. It's better. That's what I would have done. Not to say the what do they call it? The golden sparrow? Kill the sparrow for more eggs? There are no eggs if it's killed. That's not very wise, is it? So there are ways of dealing with them from their angle, but if you know what the better ways, you should have done that. You should have said, okay, we are going to continue this, and let's find some time to do some local ones too. Maybe it's needed. Maybe local one will grow and will grow well, and you can integrate both of them. Everybody's wishes are done and more work is done and better work is done. Done. Right? So it's unto us. It's unto us. And I don't want, just to give me a second.